Welcome to the Neighborhood Law Center. I'm your host, Melvin Burruss. And today we have as our guest S. Lisa Herndon, a realtor. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Before we get into our program, tell the audience a little about yourself, and then we can go into the topic, which is real estate and how it affects the community.
Okay. As you said, I'm a realtor, which means that I belong to the local association of realtors and the National Association of Realtors. We take a code of ethics. We hold ourselves to a higher standard for our clients. So, and I came into the real estate arena in 2011, just after the major recession. I assumed that, hey, if I can survive the down market, then I can survive in any market. And it was definitely challenging. I am a native of the area, and I just want to make a difference in terms of real estate.
Okay. What kind of roles do you have, or your leadership roles have you had in the local CAR, which is the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors?
Yes, absolutely. Once I got my license, my goal was to be full in on as a realtor. So I took my role as a realtor very serious. I became very active in the community, and as you said, throughout CAR. I have been on the board of CAR's board of directors, serving to do what is in the best of our local members. I have just completed the Virginia Realtors Leadership Academy, which was a great accomplishment for me. I've also served as the Women's Council of Blue Ridge president in 2018, and I currently also serve on local boards and for the city through CAR on the HAC, which is the Housing Advisory Committee. So as you see, I take my role as a realtor very serious.
Very serious.
And I always want to give back, because it's not always just about buying or selling. We also live in these communities. And I also want to make sure that people see realtors in multiple roles. It's very important. We're a vital part.
One thing you spoke about is CAR has a legislative arm that deals with housing or real estate. What are some of their main thrusts and what they're trying to do or accomplish?
CAR is a part of the Realtors Political Action Committee, which is
the PAC.
Yes, the PAC. Realtors voluntarily contribute funds. It doesn't come from our dues or anything. We voluntarily subscribe so that we have a voice in our General Assembly in Washington, and CAR helps through our PAC to further property rights. We want to make sure that our homeowners or sellers or property represented throughout our legislative, from our candidates that we decide to represent. And the main goal, as I said before, is to ensure that owners maintain their property rights. So we're big components of that, of supporting that.
Well, talking about property rights and issues about affordable housing, you said was one of their issues also. Could you expound on that and tell us the difference between low-income housing and affordable housing and how it impacts the community?
When you hear the term low-income housing, a lot of times that's tied to subsidies and the government helping to provide or offset the cost of normally rental units. And then affordable housing, we generally think about home ownership. And in terms of how realtors' roles, again, we help out and we serve on committees, and then we lobby our legislators. We speak up. We call them. Every year we go down to Richmond, to the General Assembly, and meet our legislators and market our cause.
One of the calls, I guess, with the legislator is wanting more affordable housing and trying to find, but how do they legislate affordable housing in a community?
That's a great question. One of the things that RPAC does is that we get behind a lot of issues or legislation that support the idea of increased development and workforce, increasing more workforce housing as well. So it's through the legislation and supporting certain initiatives that drive more development and make it easier for developers to come into areas and build so that it's less expensive. The permit process is less of a hassle. So we serve on different boards and just make sure our voices are heard so that we can actively affect the process.
Okay. Affordable housing, I guess, is synonymous with workforce housing, and which is very important because you have a lot of people working that can't afford to live in this immediate area. And I guess affordable housing or workforce housing allows them to eliminate that two-hour ride down to back to Greene County or Fluvanna, as you mentioned. Recently, 30%, it was a 30% increase in housing growth in Fluvanna.
Absolutely,
which
yes,
means
yes.
It means that people are moving out of the area to areas where they perceive to be affordable,
Yes.
which is a good idea. Could you provide a snapshot of the housing market conditions in the Carr area?
Well, first of all, to define the Carr area, Carr recently put out its third quarter sales report, home sales report, and it took a snapshot of the areas of the city of Charlottesville, Albemarle, Greene, Fluvanna, Nelson, and Louisa. And we found that the median sale price of a home is like $305,000. And we are in a strong job market. It's just that employers being able to find correct employers who can do the task. And another important thing to note is that to demonstrate that we're in a strong market, that there were 99 more sales transactions the same time this year. So the economy is stable. Some people have an idea that we may go into a recession. Our local market isn't showing that. Consumer confidence is strong. Continue to have new development throughout. As you said, it goes back to affordable housing. We do have a lot of new construction, but who's able to afford it? And that's, again, where we turn back to our legislators and serving on different boards to make sure that we include that. You know, we keep that at the forefront to make sure that our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers, again, that workforce manpower is able to live in the area in which they serve. And they have a stronger bond to the areas when they live in the areas. So that is on the forefront of the realtor's mind and how we can help through legislation and just participating in local governments.
Yeah, you made a good point about police officers, firemen, our teachers being able to live in the area in which they work, because then they get they bond, as you were
Absolutely.
saying, with the parents and the children that they are pledged to serve. Another good point you brought out, which maybe you want to talk about, is affordability. You're saying the wages are so low in some cases that they can't afford the $305,000. A living wage will not do it. I mean, normally, as you were telling me earlier, for $305,000, you need an income of $85,000, which is two people working in a household. Right. Making at least $40,000, which means they're making at least $50,000 or $30,000, $25,000 a piece to get there or more. So, so that's a good area that you're working on. But I guess you have to say is, as you raise the wages, your costs go up. So it's a catch-22, but you're right. It's more important stress-wise also to have people working in the area, and it costs less to the employers if there are people who are not taking the time off to go 2 hours home because they have an emergency or can't get to work because of the weather. What do you feel is one of the most significant challenges facing our real estate market today?
It is definitely the affordable housing issue. It definitely is on the minds of all of us. We are affected as realtors. We see our clients who want to purchase a home and they just can't, so we have to direct them to different areas. So it is a topic, and we definitely know that it's also on the minds of the General Assembly. Our legislators are, as I said, I also volunteer as a member representing CAR on the Charlottesville Advisory Committee. It's definitely on our mind. Charlottesville is short over 4,000 units, affordable units in the city. So I work on different causes like that, and that's the only way to make a difference, is to keep it on the forefront mind of everyone and just, chip away at it little by little.
A good way is to mandate that any developer come in, at least they build some affordable housing or housing within their development or complex. Whether that'll ever happen, I'm not sure. But what is your vision for helping families become homeowners?
That's a great question, and it's one of the reasons that I got into the real estate business. I just see that, owning a home is such a way to tie individuals to a community. It even increases the success of students in schools. There's a recent report that came out that showed students do better because they're stable. They're not moving every year or every other year. It creates that stability. So me as a realtor, I always want to help as many clients as I can. The first step is to know your finances, become as financially literate as possible. Reach out to a local real estate expert in your area and find out where you are. We work in that arena every single day. So we know lenders, we know different programs. Even if you don't think that you qualify at this point, we can help you get there.
Okay. Well, give us a little inside tip. What is the score, the minimum score on your credit score that you need besides having the down payment to purchase a home?
That's another good question, and the true answer is that it depends. It really depends on the type of loan program that you decide to go into, because there's FHA, there's USDA.
Well, tell us about these programs.
There are different government programs that could require a lower credit score, and then there's some programs that require that you don't put a down payment. So it's best to talk with your lender. That's where that financial literacy comes in. You got to know where you are. But on average, the minimum, most lenders want to see you at least a 620 to begin to have that conversation. And even if you're not there, still come in and have that conversation, and we can get you there. We can give you different tools and show you how to save and make different adjustments in your everyday lifestyle so that you can become that homeowner, because it definitely helps to build wealth.
Well, you made a good point, because if you have a 620, then the other challenge is your down payment. And as you're saying, FHA has 3% or 5% down payments. What are the other programs that you were talking about?
USDA. There's VA for our veterans, and it's
VA is a no down payment.
Yes.
Still no down payment.
But in terms of having no down payment, you got to balance that. You got to balance that with your monthly payment and your other costs. Or do you want to pay some down and have a lower down payment. So that's why it really depends on that individual's circumstance. It's not, you can't just have a blanket statement of this is how it should. We need to know what your particular circumstances are and what your financial goals are. And if you come with that, but if you don't, there are different options. So it's always best to reach out to a local realtor, and as I said, we do it every day, so we can help with those questions.
You mentioned the state in creating legislating affordable housing or doing something to help out. What about the city and the county? What can they do to encourage developers to build affordable housing?
That's a good question. You know, again, it depends. And I say that not lightly, but I say that because different localities have different focuses and they have different zoning requirements, different permits, different special permits. So it's going to depend. But as I said before, as long as the localities have it on their agenda, they're working on it. They really are. And sometimes change doesn't always come as quickly as we want it, but as long as it's on their agenda and they're taking active steps. And I can definitely tell you that the city of Charlottesville and the Albemarle and surrounding counties have a regional housing alliance committee to work on these issues, because it's not affecting just one area of our community, it affects us all. You know the saying that when the tide rises all boats. So when one is better, we're all better as a community.
Okay, well, what kind of advice would you give our sellers waiting to put their homes on the market, since this is a great market, if they're affordable enough to purchase? I don't know. I mean, what are people asking for their homes? I mean, when you're in a house for 30 years, you have quite a bit of equity that you're trying to take out. But what are some of the advice you give sellers?
I would definitely say don't wait. You know, there's this old adage that a lot of sellers believe, oh, I will wait until the spring market. Don't do that. There's always viable buyers out there in any and all markets. And typically around this time of the year, you have very serious buyers. When they come knocking or want to view your home, you can definitely know that they are interested in making purchases. And they're not what we call in the industry looky-loos, people who are just going out to open houses and just looking around just to be looking. You have some serious buyers in the market now.
Well, what action can some sellers take? What do they have to do with the house or prepare for the selling market to sell their home?
That's a great question, and it really depends on the condition of their home. First of all, I'd say, you know, get with a local realtor expert and have them walk through your home, and to definitely say, you know, do this or do that. It depends on the condition of the home. It could be as simple as painting or doing a quick renovation or doing absolutely nothing because they've taken the time to maintain the home throughout the years.
Do you recommend the seller get a inspector to go through their home? The buyer usually gets the inspector to go through their home, but what about a seller getting an inspector to go through their home to identify issues that should be taken care of?
Right. That's a good question, and it really depends on the seller. Now, when you decide to have an inspection, you may reveal some material facts, and if it is known, then you need to reveal it. And if you go and have an inspection, you know, that could protect you from having to negotiate down a lot in your price. You know where the condition of your home, you know that you have made the repairs or decided not to make the repairs. And if you've decided not to make the repairs, you can have your agent say that in the beginning. You know, the seller will give credit for the carpet, or the seller has decided to repair something in the home. It will be done prior to closing of the home. So.
Okay, so I put my house on the market. What do I do now?
Of course, you need to call a local realtor.
And what do you do? Or you're a realtor, what in general, what do they normally do to earn the commission?
Okay, to earn the commission. I laugh because there's a lot of conversation about realtors and their commission. But I can tell you what I do. What I do is when you come to me, it's one and done. You sit back, you sign my seller's or buyer's agreement, and you know that I manage the entire process after that. It requires a great deal of trust and to believe and to know that my years of expertise in the market, that I know how to negotiate, I know how to advise you whether or not you need to stage your home, whether or not you need to have that home inspection or a pre-sale or a pre-market appraisal. We'll go through those different conversations, but you can rest assured that the process will be managed. And I deal in it every single day. It's my full-time job, so I'm more likely to see things that you will never see if you try to sell your home on your own.
Okay. You know, my customers or my clients or viewers, they ask me about what should I do when my mother or father pass away? Should I keep the house in their name or should I put it in my name? And who pays the taxes on these things, the property tax?
Right. I've actually come into some of those situations, and the best thing to do, and you should know as an attorney, is to seek legal counsel. I can give you some general advice, but I'm not a legal advisor. I can only sell you real estate, but through my years of real estate, I can definitely say that you got to find out the number of heirs, make sure that they're documented, and definitely keep up with the taxes. Have that conversation with the local tax office or the clerk's office. Make sure you know as much as possible. But the best thing, even before you get to that, is make sure that you know whether or not your relative's home or trust or whatever is in order, because it makes a big difference when you go to try to sell it and you find out that there's multiple heirs that you didn't even know about. It can hold up the process.
Especially seniors now who are passing away, who never speak too much about your relatives, and now all of a sudden you find out you have 10 relatives that you only thought you had 2.
Absolutely.
So that's a good point there. So what is the best quality of a realtor? You spoke a lot about what you do, but what is the best qualities of a realtor that we?
You know, over the years I've found that the most important quality to have through everything is that know that you're a problem solver. When you decide to hire an agent, a real estate agent, a realtor, make sure that they've had experience in solving problems, because you can market, you can do whatever, and you can have the highest numbers, but in the end, it comes down to you having the ability to handle anything that's thrown at you. You can think that you're closing at the end of the week and something happens. How are you going to respond? Can you come up with a solution to have that transaction continue?
Okay. I guess you sell homes in rural areas as well as the city.
Yes.
What are the different strategies that you have for selling homes in those 2 different markets?
Different strategies. I don't know whether or not there's different strategies. There may be different marketing techniques based on the type of properties that I'm going to sell, whether or not I'm in the process of selling a home on large acreage, or whether or not I'm in the city and selling a smaller home. The home out in the county may require more staging. It may require a different type of marketing to different individuals, different demographics, whereas the city I may target a different demographics as well based on the home and the type of home. So it could vary based on the type of marketing, but in general, it's just based on the property. Anybody can buy a home. We just want them to buy it.
Well, you say anybody can buy a home, but
I know that's a loaded question.
unless you have a minimum score of 620 and some type of down payment, that is not a, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, how do you see the market today? What could you advice you can give to our viewers on the market today and for the future if they are interested in purchasing?
Definitely, interest rates are great. Now is a great time to get in the market, and as I said, reach out to a local real estate expert and find out where you are. You know, you got to know where you are in order to start the process.
What do you
and
mean
be
by
willing
where
to,
you are?
Okay, and be willing to have those honest conversations. There are individuals who want to buy a home, but they don't know where they are financially. They don't know how much money they spend a month. They don't know how much they're actually bringing home and utilizing, whether or not it's their discretionary income. You know, how to adjust their lifestyle so that they can actually start to save. They may think that they can't afford it, but if they're willing to make changes and adjust their lifestyle, it's like, wow, we eat out 3 to 4 times a week. If we stop doing that, we can come up with a decent sized down payment over time. So having those conversations, and that's what I mean by where they're at, you know, where you're at financially. Financial literacy is very important.
Do you give credit counseling classes to potential buyers? Or have you done that, or have you thought about that?
I definitely have friends who are lenders who are more expert in terms of advising about different types of loans and what they need to do in order to qualify for certain types of loans. But we always, you know, just through our business, everyday business, understand how to get them there.
Okay. Lisa, can you tell our audience where they can get in contact with you if they're interested in purchasing? Your telephone number or your website?
Definitely, you can reach me on my cell number at 434-566-5634, and it comes directly to me. If I'm not available, please leave a message. I try to respond to all my messages within 24 hours. My email address is slherndon@kw.com.
Thank you for being on the program. You were very enlightening. But to the audience, this is Melvin Burruss. I'm your host with the Neighborhood Law Center. You can also see the program on the neighborhoodlawcenter.com on the website. So take the time to go to your website and you'll see this program again. So until next week, peace and God bless. Thank you.